Hello, and welcome to the second part of this knowledge share on how we can go about performing dynamic text translation within the Microsoft Dynamics ERP system. I'm going to be doing a deep dive into the technology behind my last video, and I've had a few requests to modify this demo to give some instructions on how we can create a translation assembly that can be used directly from X++. The principles behind both a WPF user control class library and a standard class library are exactly the same. Okay, I'm going to create a folder that's going to house our new project. I'm going to give this folder a name of Translate Utilities. Okay, let's switch over to Visual Studio. And let's go ahead and take the option to create a new project. Now I'm going to create a class library, and I'm going to choose, the current default is set to the lowest level of the .NET framework, and I'm going to choose the highest level of the .NET framework that we can go to and yet still be compatible with the interop assemblies that are provided with the Dynamics ERP system. And that level of .NET framework is 3.5. If we choose the .NET 4 framework, we're going to add some complications because the interop assemblies have been compiled for the .NET 2 framework, and there are incompatibility issues, and these incompatibility issues have been discussed in one of my earlier blog posts. Okay, let's rename our project to match the folder that we've just created. Translate Utilities, and let's change the location. Right, and go ahead and create the project. Right, the first thing that you need to do is rename the class. You'll notice that the namespace has been renamed according to the name of the project already. So just click twice on the class object, and let's give it a reasonable name of Translate Class. This is the reference that we're going to be using within X++ whenever we want to perform a translation. Go ahead and take the option to add the project to the AOT. Right click on the project name and take this option here. You should, at the bottom of the screen, see a success message. You can confirm that your project has been added to the AOT just by navigating to the developer workspace, and if you expand the Visual Studio projects, and because this is a C# project, it should appear in that subfolder. If you navigate down to the name of your project, you should see it appear in the list of projects that now exist within the AOT. Right, we now need an item of information from the Windows Azure data market. Go ahead and open up Internet Explorer, navigate to the Azure Marketplace, log in using your Windows Live ID credentials. Okay, and if you navigate to the Bing Translator data service, you'll see a new link which you wouldn't ordinarily see if you weren't signed in using your Live ID credentials. Go ahead and download the contents of this link. Okay, and close down Internet Explorer. What this has done is it's downloaded a C# class locally which contains a number of data types and enumerations necessary in order for you to use the data service. We need to incorporate this new C# class into our project. So if you return back to our project, right click and take the option to add existing item, find the class that we've just downloaded, it's in the download folder, and click the add button here. It's not a large class, as you can see, but it's got a number of build errors, and these build errors relate to object and data type unresolved references. So we're going to have to add a couple of assemblies to our project. If you right click the references node and take the add reference option, if we navigate to the .NET tab, I'm just going to allow that a few more seconds to complete loading, and if you sort on the component name, and let's go down to the system section. Now we need two assemblies, system.data.dataset extensions, and we need system.data.services.client. That one here, and that one there. You can multi-select assemblies just by holding down the control key, right? So if I click OK to add those assembly references, we should see the vast majority of the errors disappear, which they have done. Okay, let's close that C# library down and let's attempt a rebuild. Okay, rebuild looks good. Go ahead and paste in the code from my blog article. What you'll have is 4 methods in total, 3 of them private and 1 of them public. This is the public method that we're going to be using from our X++ code. Don't forget to change the line where you need to put in your account key. This is the account key that you'll find on your profile page within the Windows Azure data market. Right, we're at the stage now where we need to rebuild and deploy our assembly. Let's take the option to rebuild it first. And what we're looking for is that success message there. Click on the solution name again. What we want to do is deploy the assembly to both the clients and to the server. Now what I've found is on the Contoso VMs, the assembly doesn't automatically get copied to the client. You need to do a manual copy from the server folder to the client, and I'll walk you through that now. Let's go ahead and take the deploy option, and we're looking for a deploy 1 success. We got not an error message, a warning message here telling us that the AX client is currently open, and that if any client processes are currently running, the deployed DLL will not be installed. But it doesn't really matter because it doesn't actually get deployed to that folder anyway. We're going to have to do it manually. Let's navigate to the server folder that holds our deployed assembly, and that's held in program files, Microsoft Dynamics 6 server, Microsoft Dynamics AX bin, Visual Studio assemblies. There it is. And there's our new translate utilities.dll, dated today, okay, at the current time, which is fine. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that, and I'm going to manually copy it to the program files x86 folder, Microsoft Dynamics AX 6 client bin. I'm just going to paste it in there at the bottom. Okay. Now what we need to do is we now need to tell the development workspace about our new DLL. Switch over to the AOT. And open up the references node. You right click on the references node, take the add reference option, click the browse button, scroll down to the bottom of the list, and you should find the new assembly that we just copied in there. Translate utilities, that's fine. Click open on that, and it should be at version 1, which is good. Click OK. Now let's go ahead and use our new assembly from a very simple X++ job. IntelliSense should pick up our new data types from the new assembly that we've just imported into the AOT. I'm going to need a couple of string objects, one to hold the source phrase and one to hold the target phrase. I've got a source phrase that I prepared slightly earlier there, which I'm going to paste in here. So the weather today, the weather is absolutely shocking today, and I want that translated into German. I'm going to set the target phrase to be the result of our new translation object, and the method that we're going to call is the Bing translator method. As soon as I hit the open bracket, you'll see that the method takes 3 parameters: the phrase that we want to translate, the source language, and the target language. I'm going to pass in that variable that holds our phrase, that's our source phrase. I'm going to pass in a blank for the source language, and the reason for that is I want the Bing translator to look at the context of the phrase that I'm passing in and make a determination, its own determination about what it feels that the language should be. Again, if you refer back to the previous video, the more text that you pass in, the better the determination it will make about the source language. And I want that to be translated to German. And the final thing I'd like to do in my X++ job is just to present the results. And I'll do that using an info box. Okay, let's go ahead and compile all this. Compiles just fine. And let's go ahead and run it. And we have a translated phrase. Let's just do one more test. Let's translate that to Hindi. That looks like it's working just fine. It looks like it's working very quickly as well. Okay, so that concludes this demo. I hope you all found that very, very useful. Thank you very much for watching.